pulling up my official presentation for today, I want to say a few things. My name's Debbie Reese. I'm from a small pueblo north of Santa Fe, New Mexico called Nambe. Nambe is our own name. A lot of the pueblos adapted the saint's name that was given to them by the Catholics when the Catholics came through there and tried to convert people to be good Christians and good Catholics. But Nambe has been Nambe always. So I'm from Nambe. A lot of people don't know about it because it is a small pueblo. It's a small village and it's not on the main street, so a lot of people don't know much about us. But that's okay because we're fine, and we kind of like it that way because we don't have to deal with so much with exploitation. So I went to day school there. I went to the day school at the pueblo. And when my parents had both gone to Santa Fe Indian School, and my grandparents had gone to St. Kate's and Santa Fe Indian School and Albuquerque Indian School. So I have a lot of boarding school history and in my family, and then also in my own experience as a kid in day school. And then I started teaching at Santa Fe Indian School when I got my teaching degree. So I've kind of been very much centered in that piece of our history as Native people, the whole boarding school, and the efforts by tribes to create new schools that are more tribally responsive to the tribes themselves, like Santa Fe Indian School is. I'm nervous. Anyway, so some things that I also want to say. So when I went to UNM, I knew who we were. You know, I danced. I've been dancing since I was a little kid, and Pueblo dances are way different from powwows. I think if any of you have been out to the Southwest, you know that. But our dances are very, very different. So I've been doing that for a long, long time. And when I went to college at UNM, and I started meeting all these other Indians from other places, and there was one, I started dating an Okie, and and I was going to go to his homeland for a little while and go to Oklahoma. And I told my grandmother that I was going. She said, those colored feathers. So I guess I bring that up because I think that within our own, you know, with this broad group of people that we call American Indian, we do have like these little pokes that we shoot at each other for various reasons. Anyway, I did teach for a while, and then I went to graduate school and was recruited to actually go to the home of Chief Illini Wick. And so those of you that don't know, it has been retired. It is no longer the official mascot of the university. That doesn't mean it's gone, because there's lots of fans that continue to bring him or it out at various functions. So it's still there. Officially it has been retired. I think that there's a couple things that I want to say again before I get into this, because some of the things that have been said this morning prompt some of this conversation. We're struggling with this question of identification. The universities tell us, well, we can't ask for that information because that's discriminatory. And I think one of the weapons that we have, or one of the tools that we have, is only if we say that yes, we're in that multicultural umbrella, and yes, only if we say we're one of those underrepresented groups, only if we let ourselves be defined in that way does that argument hold water. I think that if we say, actually, we're sovereign nations, and as sovereign nations, we should be considered in a different way in this whole question format of how you prove whether someone is Native or not. So I think we do have a tool that we might bring to bear to that whole conversation that we're not really using, or maybe we are, and I don't know. So we have box checkers at Illinois too. My daughter is a sophomore. She's at Yale. I'm very proud of her because she's really smart, and she applied to Yale and Harvard and Stanford. And that's all she applied to. She knocked the socks off SATs and things like that in math. But that's not what she wants to do. She's actually a political science student. She wants to become a lawyer, a tribal lawyer. So she only applied to Yale, Harvard, and Stanford. And they have the kind of thing that we were talking about earlier about you check the box and then you write your tribal affiliation in there. And she wrote Nambe, and from all three schools we got letters following up asking for more information. What do you mean by this? So I'm thinking that's also another tool that some schools might consider is if your institution has that line, can your Native Studies program or your missions office follow that up with another letter saying, well, tell me more. I'm not sure what Yale, Harvard, or Stanford does with that additional information, but they do seek it out. So I wanted to throw that. That's one of the things I wanted to say this morning. All right, so I'm a former school teacher. I teach in American Indian Studies at the University of Illinois. I'm a full-time, 100% appointment in American Indian Studies in a tenure track position. That's unusual, but it is an indicator that Illinois is serious about its ethnic studies programs. For those of you who don't know, we now have Robert Warrior as the director of our program, and I just feel like, yeah, we are really doing well at Illinois. I think in part because the school is trying to make some things different because of the mascot and because of the problems that we've had at Illinois with the mascot. All right, so I study children's books. And I want to talk today about the ramifications of author identity in that particular area, in the world of children's literature. What does it look like? So I want to show you what it looks like. And what does it mean for kids? So the title is, this is from an author's quote, "I have the blood of more than one race flowing through my veins." Someone says that in their author's note. So when you get a kid's book, when you pick up a kid's book, there is a page in there that says who the author is. So this is a piece from one of those pages. I'm going to go through quickly some of these that you may know. The Education of Little Tree by someone named Forrest Carter. Oops, not really. There was no person named Forrest Carter. That was just a fake name for the person who is actually Asa Carter. So I'm going with a big fat assumption that most of you know that this book has been exposed as a fraud. In fact, Forrest Carter's brother is the one who outed him as saying, "No, you're not Cherokee. You actually are a speechwriter for George Wallace. You were in the Klan, da 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 da." I hope you know all that story. But anyway, The Education of Little Tree continues to be published. It continues to be one of the most favorite books in the young adult literature world. It came out in 1976. There's a feature film of that came out a few years ago too. The top left, the smaller one in the back, is the first cover, and the front is the more recent cover. Anpayo, I don't know how to say that word. It's probably not a real word. Anpayo by Jamaki Highwater. Now, this was important. It came out in 1977. It won the Newbery Medal. Jamaki Highwater claims that he is Native. He has also been exposed as a fraud. But in the world of children's literature, where they don't really follow the whole identity questions in the ways that we do in Native studies, when I started talking about Jamaki Highwater being a fraud, suddenly Jamaki Highwater's lawyer came out of the woodwork in the children's literature arena and said, "Hey, you know, stop talking about him like that, or we're going to sue you guys." So, so the legal kinds of arguments come out in interesting places. I don't know that anybody in the Native Studies or American Indian Studies world knew that Jamaki Highwater is like really fighting this out over in the children's literature world. Oh, but here's what the Library of Congress says about that. His book is Traditional Tales from North American Indian Tribes Woven into One Story that relates the adventures of one boy as he grows to manhood. So you can like pull from any tale you want to and create this one kind of story. Bogus, most of you know that. You can't do that. That's not a real Native story. That's fake lore. But anyway, he won the Newbery Medal for that. Now that's important. When a book in the children's literature world wins an award, that book will get reprinted again and again and again, and it will get bought by every elementary school library, every public school library. So winning an award like the Newbery has great status for the person who wins the award. This is that goofy one that I started out with. This is the turkey girl on the bottom right. Is a picture of the cover, and there on the top right is the note that Penny Pollack includes with this. This one came out in 1996, and it won the Aesop Prize from the American Folklore Society, which gives this award to books that are culturally authentic. Now, this is the Turkey Girl, a Zuni Cinderella story. Now, I'm Pueblo. That doesn't mean I know everything about Zuni, because Zuni is way different than Nambe. But because it is Pueblo, it does catch my eye. So I have done an extensive analysis of this book. It is so messed up. It is so messed up in so many ways. I could talk a long time about that, but that's not what I want to do. I want to read the note to you, and I'm not sure if I can. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.